Yoda I am. Yoda I am. I wish I could do Yoda, man.
Great choice, you say.
Great choice, you say.
That came out because like I was trying to do a Beavis, drunk Beavis, just for the fuck of it.
Drunk Beavis.
And I don't know, I was just trying shit, and my wife's like, this kind of sounds like Yoda. Chucky laugh I've had for God knows how long.
What's that? I mean, like, what does it sound like? Ooh, Mark Hamill would be proud.
It's like my wife said I've had it for like, because since she's ever known me.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I haven't thought about it. She said that's my natural laugh.
Was it Mark Hamill on the on that recent Chucky show? Was it still him? Did he reprise the role? Do you know?
I don't know.
Because you saw the show, or did you hear of it?
I heard it. I saw a piece of it, I think, I saw pieces of it on TV one time, and
I heard it was all right. I heard that they did a thing where it was like they were trying to play into the whole like Chucky would not be with this politically correct stuff, because he's not. If you go back and watch the old Chucky, it is not politically correct.
It was okay. I mean, I don't know. It was okay, I guess, but it just.
Well, let's get back to right before we started recording here. We were saying how everybody's got a talent, and I think like that's why I like doing this, is because it allows me a platform to highlight the talents of other people, because I think everybody is insanely talented in whatever it is they do. Like, and you have to find it. You have to find what your talent is, because you don't know what it is at the offset of your life, and whatever it is something that became that over time, right? Like no one is the same as anyone else. We all have like this incredibly unique makeup of experience and of thing. Like our lives are all completely different. No one can be the same as you.
And sometimes it's people that will point it out to you.
Yeah,
that's how it got
something
started
you couldn't even see in yourself.
I look back in life. I'm always doing voices or whatever. Even as a kid, I was making people laugh. But it wasn't until my wife said, "Hey, you need to go on stage because you're always doing voices."
Yeah.
But everybody's got this God-given talent, and I see talents, and I try to tell people, you're good at this, and
And you never know. That's a great point, because you don't know what they know. You don't know if they know or not. Like
Exactly.
you don't know if they can see it in themselves. And so I had Ethan Cohen on this podcast. He's often at the Glenwood mic. If you've ever you've been
I've been there.
That's where I met you. And so he's a great guy. And he and I were talking, and we got on this topic of like, sometimes you're the person that's the helper, and sometimes you're the person that needs help, and you don't usually know which one you are in that moment. And so you don't even know that you're helping someone when you're helping them a lot of the time. Like when you say those words, when your wife says those words to you, she doesn't know that's exactly what you need to hear. But you just got to always have that mindset of wanting to help people if you want to achieve that. If you want to see others grow, you just have to constantly have that supportive mindset, because you don't know what you're doing when you're doing it. You know, it's like the butterfly effect of your actions.
Yeah, it absolutely is. That one little word or one little, conversation can make all the difference on a person, whether they want to continue and maybe just start doing it or not do it anymore because they didn't feel like they're really going anywhere with it or whatever. But just encourage people, and it's like amazing watching their talent, because you're like you see people like build bridges or build houses, and you're like, I couldn't build a house if I had 150 years.
Yeah.
But you watch these people do it like it's nothing.
Yep. I have a friend he's super into construction. His name's Andrew King. If anybody's in the mid-Michigan area, shout out Andrew King. He'll hook you up. But that guy is ridiculously, like, in his industry, right? In his construction crew, he's like, he just takes the reins, and everybody looks to him for what to do because he's so good at it. He's so good. And I could never. I went to work with him once. I'm like, this is not for me.
So I was at the Suburbia Awards in Aurora, December. I think it was late November, early December.
Okay.
And Matt Drufke was running it, and I'm going to paraphrase him. He says something along that every comedian has somebody, another comedian that they look up to,
like a mentor almost.
Or for whatever reason, not necessarily, and it might be even somebody that you have a normal conversation with, but you like, they got it together. So you watch them, and you for some reason you you connect with them for whatever reason. And sometimes it's conversation and learning from them, and sometimes it's just watching them and maybe how to get better by watching them.
Yeah.
And it goes both ways. And it's like you think, oh, I can never, be that somebody. But he's right, and because like you say how I'm always, commenting on people's posts to encourage them. And I don't think much about it. I just do it because I enjoy doing it. But apparently it reaches out there a lot to the other comedians.
Because you become that guy. You become the guy that comments on the posts and encourages people. And people know you as that. Like, doing this, people get to know me as the guy who brings people on and talks to comics. And, like, I'm sure that's what you see me as, is someone who brings in all these comedians and highlights their talents. And that's because it's just what I like to do. And it's just figuring that out. Like, figuring out what makes you, because the thing is, no one else is gonna do that. No one else is gonna comment on all those comedians' posts. You think everyone thinks like you. In your brain, you're thinking like, wouldn't everybody do that? But no, they don't, because they don't. Just look around. And so it's kind of like leading by example, like creating the world you want to see. By being supportive, you kind of put that energy out there. And I think that's really, really valuable.
And I've learned so much from so many comedians. Mm-hmm. I was in a roast battle last year, and the guy just slaughtered me. I mean, absolutely slaughtered me. And after the tournament,
I'd like to see you in a roast battle.
I've had 2 battles, 3 appearances.
Okay.
The appearance was in between, and the gal Lisa Fujiko, she was in the finals, and she asked me to come in as my lab coat and as a doctor as part of her set.
Okay.
And she had everything staged and everything. So like so I said, 3 appearances, 2 battles, and I got killed both times, and I enjoy it. But Eric Emerson, he slaughtered me in it, and I was talking to him a few days later and reached out, how can I get better? And he gave me some advice how to do better roasting. And even though I got my butt kicked, it's your pride be like, if you're proud, you're like, no, I'm not going to reach out to him. It's like, he's been doing it for a while. He was a winner in one of the tournaments. How can I could learn a lot from him, and I have. And I absolutely love learning from the other people and encouraging them, seeing them grow, because they are phenomenal.
Yeah, and you know what you said earlier too about like how you couldn't be them. Like if you have a mentor and you couldn't be them, you don't even want to be them really. Like you want to. What makes you is like what I said before. It's that you're so incredibly unique. Like you want to take elements of all of these people and kind of figure out how to make it your own. That's really the magic of it.
And when I went to end comedy, I'm like trying to find myself, and I'm like, I'm seeing all these amazing comics, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like what I don't see behind the scenes is of some of these great comics where they were when they first started.
Absolutely.
Like some of them I've only known, from here, and maybe seeing up here. I've not seen when they were started.
Absolutely.
Because some I have, but others I haven't seen, so I don't see how bad they were in the beginning.
I have a theory about that. Like I've thought about that a lot, because I think everybody has this idealized version of success, right? Like we see successful people and we think, damn, like it's all about comparison. We're always comparing ourselves to success. Oh, well, why don't I have that level of success? Why can't I be like that? But you don't see all that blood, sweat, and tears that builds up to that. You don't see all of that because you're so used to it. Like there's a video I saw of Post Malone, the musician, playing music when he was like a teenager. And he looks nothing like what you'd expect him to look like. He's still talented, but it's nowhere near what he is now. And it just makes you think, like, we all come from humble beginnings. We all do.
I was talking to a fellow comedian on a drive one time, and as we were talking on the drive, she asked, how far do I want to go?
Yeah.
And we came to the conclusion I want to be known regionally. Like she has literally traveled throughout the U.S. states. Not all, she's done in every state, but she's traveled throughout the country doing stand up, and she's very good at it. And my goal is to be known regionally, and I'm content with that. And there's no right or wrong answer where you want to reach, That's just where me personally, and if I go above it, fine. But that's where I want to know, because obviously I have families here. So like if I'm doing a lot of traveling, if I get to the point where I'm traveling all the time, I can't spend time with the family. But it comes out to what you want. But it's lovely seeing them, like these amazing comedians I learned so much from. I'm where I am in the past, literally the past year, I've improved so much, and it's directly because of the people that have given me great advice. I mean, like such solid advice I wouldn't thought of. I took classes to get better, and if I get more money, I can go to more classes. But it's because of them that I've improved. You know, not because I have to put the work in, but it's because they've given me solid advice and have invested in me heavily.
Mind blowers are not made in a vacuum. To science, it's something that you could observe in the physical realm, in the world. You can find it. You can look around and you can see that we all need to learn from each other. We do not become great on our own. We need a little bit of help. It's what my man's talking about, and it's how one becomes a professional mind blower. By learning the lessons from their peers, by taking in the information, and by growing every single time through every single experience, be it good or bad. Everything's trying to show you something. Every person can teach you something, and it's how we all become the professional mind blowers we are, and it's how we all exert our professional mind blowing onto the world, is by teaching and showing and being that mind blower that we are. So please, please, please seek out the mind blow and be the mind blow. And if you want to let the world know that that's what you are a mind blower, a professional at that, you get yourself a t-shirt, folks. We got them, professional mind blower shirts, $25. We got smalls, we got mediums, we got larges, and you can get another size if you so please. Just let us know. All that information to get one of these shirts is available in the link in our description. It's as easy as that. You get it directly from us. Great way to support the show. Great way to show us you love what we're doing. If you want to do that, you want to support us, but you don't want to buy a shirt, well, let me tell you, the other way you can do so is Patreon, folks. $5 a month, the price of a coffee, the price of a beer at the bar. And you are supporting the show. You are ascending this show to greater heights, to greater places, because I want this thing to grow. I want to bring in as many people as possible. We're doing an episode every 3 days, and the only way that can happen is through your support. So please, folks, just consider it. It really does help out a lot. It shows me that people see what I'm doing, they believe in what I'm doing, and it makes this whole thing a little bit more worth it. So I would really appreciate you hopping on that Patreon. If you're looking on the screen here, you can see a couple of those patrons right there. Your name could be in that list. All right. Now, can I get a doctor?
And specifically one person who's dear to my heart because he has invested so much into me, and other comedians, from what I understand as well, he has helped so many other comedians improve because of that. And
who is it?
His name's Dave Voxmullen.
Oh, yes. I've heard a lot about him.
An absolutely amazing guy. So incredibly talented. Has so many resources, connections. He has made me so much better because of the advice he has given me.
He's got the name of a star. Let me just say that. That's a great name.
Well, he used to be in a band.
David Voxmullen. It's such a cool fucking name. Really.
I really like him. I really respect him, and I reach out to him. Well, I ask him advice on certain things. I mean, there's other people too, but I had a post actually recently that I put out there saying, who is the one comedian that has helped you out the most? And I said there's no right or wrong answer, because there isn't. Mm-hmm. Kyle Allen got mentioned multiple times, and I look up to him too, and he's very good. That's probably one reason he's, because I looked up to him too, because he's been giving solid advice on jokes, and he's helped me make them better. And it's that person that you really look to make you better. That person isn't any better or worse, but it's that person that's making you better, and that's what it's about, making us all together as a whole.
Yeah. And how do you remember any of the advice he gave you? Like, what kind of stuff he said to you that really stuck out?
Dave?
Yeah.
Well, he said to drop stage name. That's.
Oh, really?
So I I still use it on occasion. Like people will know me as that.
That's interesting advice. I don't know if I agree.
Well, because I'm not an actual doctor, so that's why. He said because it's hard to be it's hard to be yourself. You know, shed the lab coat and this stuff and be who you are, right?
Shed the lab coat.
Well, because like, and he's right. It actually has helped me out. And another thing he talks about opening up, and it's something that's very difficult for me to open up. One of my first jokes about opening up was I talked about what was that? I was talking about being married, not married. It was another one, but I made the joke about it's hard for me to open up because the last time I opened up, somebody took one of my kidneys.
Okay.
and that was one of the first ones, and it is something I'm starting to do a little bit more, but it's just something for me. It's hard to do. I see a lot of comedians do it. But when you're up there on stage and you're opening yourself up, you become very vulnerable.
Oh, absolutely.
And and that's one thing I've done. It's always been hard for me. Like a one-on-one conversation, maybe, but like out in the public forum is something that's very difficult for me.
I just tweeted just 2 nights ago. I was on 5 grams of mushrooms, and that's where my best ideas come. Okay, and I thought, cut yourself open and bleed in public. And what I mean by that is exactly what we're talking about. Like, that's kind of the brilliance of doing such a thing is I think people connect with that. You know, like when you put it that way, it sounds like a controversial statement.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the art of it is I think people struggle to share. I think everybody's got a natural voice in their head that says like, oh, I don't know, these people are going to judge me. But like the truth of it is, no one really cares in the end, and people connect with that vulnerability.
Yeah.
They connect with that truth that you put out there. They want it. They do. They're like, oh man, he's being real right now. And you know, I think we're so used to people not doing that that when it happens, it's like, whoa.
And so I can open up about relationships because I think most people can relate with that. You know, regardless of your lifestyle, everybody can relate with relationships, friendships, dating, married, whatever. They can relate to that.
Yep.
So it's like, oh yeah, I had this partner who was a little psycho, or like they wouldn't be quiet or something or another. Because my wife one time, I kid you not, woke me up at 3 a.m. and I'm like, yeah, it's time to get up. It's 3 a.m. Yeah, it's good time to talk and get everything done. And I was like, half asleep. And I think everybody has that one person they know. It's like, well, can talk up a storm. I mean, my wife talks so much that even my cousin-in-law was speechless, and he talks a lot. So it's like, everybody can relate with that. Everybody has that. They know that someone who talks all the time.
Yep.
And
people top me. People can top me. I mean, I think I talk a lot, and then I meet somebody who just railroads me. I'm like, damn.
And sometimes, like, when I'll do voices out in public, and it's interesting because sometimes I get some laughs. Other times they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm a comedian. Of course, I'm not okay. None of it.
Ain't that the truth?
Anybody who says a comedian is normal is lying. Cause
that's why I love having you guys on the podcast.
Yeah,
you guys are all crazy.
We are all a little bit goofy, and that's when. And I tell people that I don't know who's crazier, me or the comedians I work with or interact with, because I absolutely adore these people. They mean the world to me, and they're just as goofy as me in different ways. But we're like the land of misfit comedians. Mm-hmm. Instead of letting the misfit toys with the cartoon. Yep. But we even though like we're all like dysfunctional in some way, we can relate, you know.
Yeah.
I have a fellow comedian. I was watching her perform. I think it was the last month, and she's got this, like, she has anxiety, right? That's just normally do it. But when she does it on stage, like, I know her, so I know, like, her personality. So she's generally anxious, generally will use certain, like, hand gestures or whatever. So, like, I know it, so I know it's not planned, but it comes off as planned, and it comes off so hysterical. The audience is just rolling because she's so genuine, so like she's so adorable on stage, you know. Mm-hmm. She's a very funny comedian. I enjoy listening to her.
Yeah, and that's a tough one, right? Because that's one of those things where you kind of for one, you have to learn through doing it because you can't predict that people are going to laugh at certain parts of your personality. You can't predict it.
Yeah.
You don't know. And the other part of it is you kind of have to get over it. Like, you kind of have to accept that's what it is and then learn to play into it a little bit.
And that's why I'm struggling to learn how to play with my high energy.
You have high energy.
I am very high energy, and a lot of people, will say I'm high energy, and I'm like, and to me, I'm like, I'll trade you. Because I actually had a conversation with the same comedian. And I said to her one day, I said, she came after me, and she said, well, I'm glad I'm after him, and I don't have to be very high energy. And I'm like, because it's a struggle to have to force myself to slow down, talking slower and stuff like that, and that's a daily struggle. Because when I get excited, I will talk faster. Like, I was surprised on the last podcast how consistent I talked, because sometimes I'll get excited and talk rapidly. And I've gotten better, not where I need to be, and that is a struggle on stage, is not talking too fast for me.
Yeah.
Because if you watch my first stand-up, you'd be like, yeah, this guy ain't going any places. And fortunately enough, I've gotten somewhere where I'm like, I've done decent,
Have you tried horse tranquilizer? Maybe before you go on stage, just to, yeah. A little bit of, just take 1,000 milligrams of edibles. That'll slow you down. There's got to be something, because really it's got to be self-control, right? You just have to it's awareness. You'd have to kind of figure out. I guess a lot of that probably too would be maybe if you record your sets and watch them back.
I do. I do record my sets.
Because then you can see it. You can see it's hard in the moment to see it.
And that's why I post them. I post the good, the bad, and the ugly on my up online so that people can see them.
You post them all on YouTube, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that I can get not only so people can so not only friends and family can watch them, but I could they can see this is where I did well and this is where I didn't do well. And some people say, "Oh, you're showing people the best." Well, why?
I think you should post it all, because you don't know what the best is. You think you know, but you don't always know. Sometimes it's like that with music. Some of my songs that I don't think are my greatest songs, that could be the one.
Oh, I've enjoyed your stuff. When I was over at the Glenwood, I was just like rolling with their shit, and that's where I already had the Bill Clinton joke, but I'm like, I'm just gonna play off of this because I just played so well.
That video is actually you can find it on YouTube, that performance where I perform, and then right after you go up with the Bill Clinton. It's up there. It's somewhere on my YouTube channel if you guys are looking.
It was to me it was perfect, because like I could just roll right off of it, because like you were already doing rap. I'm like, oh, that's right. I'll tell you what. I think I came up with I've got Bill Clinton's the Hokey Pokey. Mm-hmm. I came up with that one just for shits and giggles, just because I'd like. Because anything I say in a certain manner with Bill Clinton, people are like, yeah, he would say this.
Yeah.
So it's just, oh, that's right. I'll tell you what.
You were saying on the last, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, don't blame Monica. Yeah, it's the oral orifice is what I call
it. You were saying on the last episode that with Bill Clinton, you can get away with a lot of sexual things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can say, he did propose to Bill Clinton, people like, yeah, he would say this. I mean, it doesn't matter what you think Bill Clinton would say. You're like, yeah, he would say this. I mean, you could see it.
Yeah. It's like if I do a Trump impression, I can get away with just saying ridiculously bombacious things. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Same idea.
Really arrogant, the most arrogant thing I've ever said.
Yeah.
And I've said a lot of arrogant things in my time.
Now listen, some people might not agree with this, but Hitler had a very good physique. He had good muscles, and we could learn from that.
Well, that's because he served in World War I. You have to remember, you have to know your history.
I've read a lot of history books, the most history books. I'm basically a historian. Michelle, she's no historian. Hillary, no historian.
Crooked Hillary.
Crooked Hillary. I bet she can't even read.
Yeah, you could say all kinds of things. And then, I imagine a lot of impressions are like that. I'm trying to think of, another one you can get away with a lot of stuff.
So, like Cartman,
Cartman.
I did a piece about Cartman and insulting customers. Because, if you work in the service industry, you deal with a lot of idiot customers. You really do.
You don't say. I'm a server.
Yeah, so you know exactly. It's like a lot of customers that are just rude or they don't think that's just why I made the shirt, is because it's like you're expected to understand their language, right?
For those audio listeners out there, it says, I understand 2 languages, but bullshit isn't one of them.
Absolutely. And like, it's true. And so like, because I deal with too many idiot customers, it's like, what would Cartman say? Like, get this shit and get out of here, you fucktard.
Yeah.
Because it's like, like we as service industry, we have to be polite. However, you're thinking, you know what? I don't give a shit. Just get your shit and get out of here. I'm tired of you. You brain dead.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really, that's one of those jokes we can all connect with. Okay. All of us service industry people are going, preach, thank God someone said it.
Absolutely.
Because it's true. It's true. And you want to say it sometimes. You really want to say it. The people who say they don't want to say it, they're lying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we're thinking all the time. Like, in fact, if you're like I work on the drive-through sometimes, and I'll like when they're speaking in the microphone and to the speaker,
teleprompter. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah. So like they'll have if you're going through a drive-through, one spokesman. That's it. I don't care if there's 10 people in the car, one spokesman, because otherwise you can't really hear the other people talking, and then they're repeating it and so forth. And if they could see through the microphone, they'd be like, they'd be dead. They'd be just collapsed, because it's like, we give this look like, are you this stupid? And like, I had a customer the other day came through, back through, and like, I didn't get my sandwich plain. You didn't ask. And I kid you not, I had one customer say, yes, I want to get a plain sandwich with nothing on it. Oh, well, isn't that what plain is? I mean, unless we're living in an alternate universe somewhere that I'm not aware of.
Would you like a burger? You talking just buns? What are you talking about here? Nothing on it.
Oh, I like those buns. I cannot lie.
Yeah.
So it's like so actually that reminds me of Bill Clinton when you remember the I like big butts. So I was seeing a Bill Clinton version of it.
I like big buns and I cannot lie.
I like big tits and I cannot lie. Guys can't lie. When a girl walks in with big tits and stuck in your face, you get sprung. Your face gets stuck.
So you did these voices your whole life, pretty much?
I've been so the cartoon voices like Elmer Fudd and some others I was doing as a kid, and I kind of like just gradually started doing them more.
Were you ever thinking like maybe you'll be a voice actor?
I never thought about it. And then the Clinton whiskey scandal broke, and the guy I listened to radio was impersonating him, and I just started listening and started practicing it, and started doing this thing. That was I was without a mirror. That was just like seeing Clinton do this and just start like playing my face to do it.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, some voices I don't even know how long I've been doing them. I just do them because some voices I want to do it, and sometimes it's just I don't remember when it started.
Yeah. It just kind of happened one day. Yeah. There's a few comedians who are really good at voices. There's one guy who's not coming to my mind
Frank Caliendo?
No, that's not what I'm thinking of, but what does he do?
Franco does a lot of voices. He's really known for John Madden. His character, John Madden, is Brett Favre.
Okay.
So he does a lot of bits about Brett Favre, John Madden, talking about Brett Favre, and it's hysterical. He does a lot of good voices. He did a good second Bush. I don't know if I've ever heard him in the first Bush, but he did a second Bush. He does Clinton. I don't know if I've ever heard him doing Obama, but he does a lot of different voices, and it's just hysterical. Listen to these comedians, whether they do voices. And I had somebody the other day told me when I was doing voices, they actually said, I wish I could do voices. I said, that's, don't worry about that. It's irrelevant.
Jay Farrow is who I was thinking of.
Who?
Jay Farrow.
Oh, yeah.
But go ahead.
To me, it's irrelevant. Doing voices is great. I love doing it. But, don't look to say, oh, I got to do these. You're making people laugh. That's the important part. And it's like, I always say the environment doesn't matter where you are to make people laugh. Like, I go on stage and I love it, but I'll do it other places too. Some people have told me they couldn't go on stage and do what I do. And that's probably true, But if they can make friends laugh, family laugh somewhere, that's the important part. Don't think that, I got to go on stage to do it. It's irrelevant. And because I just think that there's so much violence, so much anger in the world. If we can make people laugh, even one joke a day will make the world a better place. So, you can't laugh and be angry at the same time, with maybe a few exceptions. If you're a psychopath or something. Really big psychopath. Probably like Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un, he's a psychopath. Kind of like Putin. But that's just make people laugh. That's what life's about, regardless of where you're at.
Yeah. You remind me of that Chucky laugh again. That would probably that's probably that psycho laugh. But I would say, or the Joker. The Joker is another good one.
Which Joker? The original from the 70s, or
I'm thinking probably
Ledger.
I'm probably thinking Nicholson.
Oh, that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
He played that so well.
Yeah. That's a great question. Like, which I think I can't remember. Maybe it was you on the podcast. I was talking with somebody, and it was like everybody has a different Batman, like a different Joker. Some people grew up with Heath Ledger.
Yep.
Some people, like mine, is Heath Ledger. That's what I got. Kids nowadays, it's who is it now? I think Paul Dano played him in the recent Batman movie, but it was kind of a low key thing. It wasn't a big focus of the movie. And before that, it would be Heath Ledger, right? Jared Leto. Oh boy, yeah.
It's phenomenal the talent like these actors have, what they're able to do.
And then Joaquin Phoenix, of course.
Yeah. And it's so phenomenal to see people use their talent, and it's like it's nothing to them. It's just a day in the park, and they enjoy doing it, and it's like they make our day better, and they and some are obviously doing it. Like, some are for pay, like repairing a car or something, and some of it's just it's doing it just to help others, and it makes other people's day better, and you might not even realize it.
Yeah, I think like in line with what we were saying at the beginning here, with like finding what you like to do, I think that it allows you to be of service to people, right? Like it gives you a sense of purpose. It really does.
It does. And finding that sense of purpose, there's a book that says A Purpose-Driven Life, and you may think your purpose is, too small. Like, I can't accomplish great things. Like, for example, a comedian, like, I might never ever be a Jay Leno or, a Jeff Foxworthy. And it took me a while to realize that, it took me a couple of years, to realize that I don't have to be that name recognition to help others and to be beneficial. And I've had so many people, like, I've encouraged other people, and they're like, hey, we know that you notice this. And it's like, because I want you guys to succeed.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's something about, you don't want to get too ahead of yourself, because that's kind of the eternal crux of life, right? Is constantly trying to improve and constantly trying to get better. But like in doing that, you learn to forget where you are. You learn to not be happy with where you are.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a curse. It's a gift and a curse, because you want to improve, you want to get better, but you also just can't accept the moment you're in. There, you can't be present, and that's, it's good and bad.
And I think I don't want to say fully found myself as purpose as a comedian, but I found at least part of it, and that's encouraging the other comedians to, get better and to see them grow.
Yeah.
So at least, do my part to help them become better, and then that it could maybe help myself become better too.
Yeah, yeah. Through doing that, you kind of do help yourself, don't you? Yeah. Do you remember any of the advice that you got along the way, in particular, just from all these comedians that like really stuck out to you, other than the David Fox Mullen thing? Like, is there any other advice that really stuck out to you?
Well, like just be myself. Like finding my voice. Yeah, that's my voice. That's what I says. Hey guys, tell you fuck out.
Sounds like you found a lot of voices.
Yeah, voice on my head. So when I do go crazy, I won't know, because I'll be going through multiple voices probably. And I'm still trying to find my voice on stage. Like maybe it's my high energy level. I'm trying different things and figure out how, because I'm high energy, so that's got to be, there's got to be something with that I can use to make it my voice. Because I've seen people use high energy to an extent, like it's not their whole set, but it's, one of my buddies, watching him, how he introduces himself, how he starts his show. He uses high energy as part of it. So I'm, it's something I probably could do. I'm still trying to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
And that's probably, those two things are probably the biggest. And I run jokes by material, or comedians. I'll send them videos, and they'll like tell me how to get it better. Like they'll give me advice on, like I sent a video to a friend of mine. I sent her the video probably about a month and a half ago or something like this, and I thought this is my performance. She goes, oh, this is good, and then she says you should, and I kind of thought that was punchline. She goes, you need to edit this extra thing because that's what everyone else was thinking.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have thought it. I'm like, well, behold, I did get some laughs because I wouldn't have thought of it, and it's like, and my fellow comedians I trust, I will send them my pieces, and someone will give me suggestions on how to make stuff better, and it's like, wouldn't have thought of that. And it's like, like one thing I've learned is brainstorming with other comedians.
Yep.
Because and it goes both ways, because I've had comedians tell me something, and I'll like, oh, you should add this, or you should play it this way, because to me that would be funny, right?
Yeah. And
by working together and like brainstorming, we'll make we will think of things we wouldn't have. And this way, it will make it better, and we could grow as together.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you also you're bonding too.
Yeah. There's something to this idea of group IQ, right? It's like you have a normal IQ, and you have a normal, like, whatever you can think of on your own. But when a group can synergize and come up with things together, you're just gonna get ideas you could never get by yourself. And there's just something real to that, And it's. I think about it too, like, that's the beauty of art in a way, is I can look at a painting and I can think one thing, but if the painting is done well, you could look at that painting and think of something else completely different than what I thought of. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the song, same thing with the movie. There's just something about art that is open to interpretation that allows for that. And I think that if you have enough minds that think in a diverse way, then you're just bound to get something original. And if you have good people that you surround yourself with, you're bound to get better, because those people will highlight things that you just could not have done yourself. You couldn't have noticed it. And that bonding aspect too, that's another important part of it. Yeah, because it is it's also just kind of cathartic to be able to exercise that muscle with other people rather than just sitting inside of your dungeon.
Yeah. And it's, it's so interesting here. And I've said this many times, that you can take 100 comedians, put them in the same situation, watch the exact same thing, and you're going to get 100 different jokes, because it'll be based on your age, race, ethnicity, gender. Everything will play a part on how you see that.
Absolutely.
And so it makes it really interesting, because it would be funny to watch that, like watch them write that, like, how'd you get that? It's funny, but how'd you get that? Because we wouldn't necessarily see it. I grew up in Central Illinois, so somebody that grows in Chicago might see it a little different way. Like all the honking or all the sirens, you would see it one way. Whereas me, like going to Central Illinois, I'd be like, wow, somebody must have died. Because you're used to hearing all the time, and us, it's like once in a while. So, but it's nice, and I love it. I never get enough of going to the comedy clubs and supporting other comedians and post on them, because like I do it more times than I count, because it's like something is amazing watching them grow. And my one of my comedians, she owns her own club, and she tied for first place on open mic at the Burbies Award. She tied for first place as the best open mic. For not even been open a year, that's phenomenal.
The winner was Power Hour, right? Was this just the recent? I don't know if there's different award shows.
So there's a Chicago one and there's a Burbies.
Oh, okay.
So for the Burbies, she tied for first place for best open mic, and that's not bad considering she hadn't even been open a year at that time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and how do they judge these competitions? You know.
So this one, they will the comedians will suggest awards, and then once they do that, then after they put those together, then they'll suggest. Then they'll ask people to nominate for each of the awards, and then from there, excuse me, the audience.
Bless you.
Yeah, the fellow comedians will vote on those awards themselves. So it's not a panel or something. It is the comedians as a whole saying, "This is who I want to win this."
That's how it should be.
Yeah, and it makes it so phenomenal because it's just. I mean, the fact that her open mic. Not even open a year had won or had tied for first place says a lot about this place.
What do you think it is about her open mic that is so phenomenal? What made it stick out?
To me, it's a few things. One, it's just a beautiful location. It gives you like a 1920 style like setting.
The aesthetic of it.
It's aesthetic. It's like an intimate type setting where it's not like real deep, right? It's not like 20 rows deep or whatever,
And for comedy especially,
Yeah.
it seems like those small venues really.
It's not extremely wide. I mean, it's just, not only is it just beautiful on that level, she's got an amazing personality to, she does such a great job running, hosting the place. She brings in a lot of good comedians to perform. The open mics, just the whole thing. I mean, I don't know. I could probably go on for hours about this place, and if every open mic I go to, this is the one. If I'm going to choose one I have to go into a week, that's the one I'm going to go to because I just love more than anybody else, and if I want to see her succeed as much as I enjoy going to it.
Where exactly is it located?
It's Bab's Comedy Club in Forest Park.
Okay. Yeah, and only a year. It's only been around for about a year.
It's not even been a year. I mean, in fact, I want to say April she started. I forget the exact date because I didn't start going, I think, till June or something. So, but it and the awards was like late November, early December. So it literally had not even been open a year when she tied for first place for best open mic.
Wow, that's very cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's very gratifying.
It
for
is.
her.
It is, and she's put her blood, sweat, and tears into this place, and it is, in my opinion, reap benefits. I mean, obviously, it's got more to grow, obviously, but I think in this short period of time, she has done quite well for herself. And I've went once or twice to watch other comedians perform there outside of open mic, and I would like to go there more often. Just the travel's harder to do it. But I absolutely love that place. Nothing, not in my opinion, not enough good can be said about the place.
Yeah. I was going to ask you if you ever thought about setting up your own open mic, but it probably is that traveled thing that's stopping you, right?
Yeah, and it's more than anything else, and you have to find the right location. So, for me, I'd probably have to travel probably 45 minutes, I'm guessing, to do an open mic without knowing people that might know a place closer.
Yeah. Is there not much comedy around where you live? It's not really a comedy.
There's no open mics. In fact, the closest open mic to me is Batavia. That's literally the closest one for me to go to.
I think, if I'm correct, I think the Gauntlet started as something in outside of the city, and then it moved in, right?
It started in McHenry, I believe.
Yeah.
Actually, it was McHenry, and then it moved over. Amy moved it over to Chicago.
And I think she was trying to do that, trying to create a little bit more of a community out there.
Amy Sami is phenomenal. She is one of so many people in the community that are top notch in my opinion.
In what way?
In her ability to encourage other comedians, to promote other comedians. This contest itself isn't anybody can sign up to it. So it's some contests you sign up, and it's limited people there, and this one anybody can sign up to it. And I like the design. So she'll take 3 comedians each week. Each week we'll go to the finals. So it's usually like 9 people go to the finals, and then they'll perform and voted on. And one of the comedians last year won, I think it was like February, March, somewhere around there, somewhere around early last year, hadn't just kind of started comedy. He won a contest, the Gauntlet contest up in McHenry. And she does so much for the stand-up community in like so many ways, encouraging our people, building them up, promoting other comedians in a lot of different ways. There's so many comedians that I love and adore and what they've done to make the community so much better in the Chicago area.
Yeah, yeah. And people like that, it's like we were talking about right before we started this, that a rising tide lifts all boats.
Oh, absolutely. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, and it took me a while because I'm like, people like Amy and Simon, other people I've like, for quite a while, I'd be like, I wish I had this kind of influence that I could do, like be where they're at. And it took me a while to realize I might not ever necessarily get to their level, but I still can help the other comedians. And not only can I make other people as a comedian, but I can encourage the other comedians and make them better. And I so much enjoy doing that and seeing them succeed and seeing them grow. And if I can be a small part of helping them succeed, that makes me feel better that they've, I can push them, a little bit better.
Yeah, and comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
Right? It's not really about if you're doing as much as so-and-so. It's really about just how much you're doing. Right?
And it took me a while to get to that point. It really did.
Yeah. I think some real good advice I heard is don't compare yourself to who someone else is today. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday.
And I've seen in the past year, literally, how much I've grown. I'm like, because I look at last year, if I look back how where I was in like performing wise and the different levels of how well I did, I've increased in the past year, and I've had people tell me you've grown in the last year. Which feels good. I'm like, I mean, I have a lot of way to go, but it feels good. At least I've accomplished something.
And it's so crazy too because it's crazy how there's always another ceiling, right? Like you always think you're in the moment. You think, you know what, I'm doing pretty good. At least if you're confident, especially, you look at yourself. You're like, you know what, I'm not doing bad. But then you can go back and look at yourself 6 months ago. And you're like, oh my Lord. Like you can see all these flaws in yourself that you didn't see then. But it's actually good that you can see those flaws because you couldn't see them then. And now you can. It shows growth. But that's a tough one, right? I experience that all the time. I've just come to accept it, where it's like, I think I know what I'm doing. But I know for a fact, in 2 years, I'm going to go back and listen to the songs I'm making now. I'm going to watch these podcasts and I'll be like, you idiot.
I've had probably more comedians than I can count, at least the ones I interact with, is they tell me you need to slow down. And I've gotten better at that. Not necessarily where I need to be, but over the past 2 years, I've gotten a lot better of slowing down.
I think you hit it on the head a minute ago, where it's like you just need to figure out how to utilize it more so than slow down. You need to figure out how to utilize that high energy and like use it to your advantage.
But I still have to slow down how I talk. So if you look at like 2 years ago, how fast I talked.
Oh, you talked even faster.
Oh yeah. So that podcast and this one, I'm talking at a steady pace, and I've gotten better on stage at doing that. Not necessarily where I need to be.
Yeah.
Because when I get excited, I'll talk fast, and I've gotten better.
And the stage energy kind of puts you up there. You're on a pedestal, so you kind of feel like you have to go.
Yeah.
Yep. It's different than something like this.
Oh, absolutely. And if you go to an open mic or to a new stage,
the nerves kind of push you into it.
I've been off my game on sometimes on a stage that I'm not familiar with, and I'm trying to get to the point where I can no matter what stage I go to, I feel confident.
Yep. I've heard that, I can't remember who said it, but it's like the first, you'll hear different numbers that people throw around for how long it takes before you become an established comedian per se, like before you're really a comedian, but it's always in the year range.
Yep.
And I've heard people say like 10 years, but even those first few years are just figuring out how to be comfortable on a stage. Just figuring out how to have what you just said, to be able to walk around and, go somewhere new and feel, some pep in your step.
I started in 19, and I can count probably less than 10 comedians that start from the time they started. They were just so confident, so everything.
Oh, it's got to be so few. Yeah,
it's so few, and that's one reason why I'll see new comedians, right, for the first time, and sometimes it's their first time on stage, and I encourage them, before and after, because I want to see them succeed. I want to see them grow, because they have some potential, and they remember that I'm encouraging them because I truly believe I want them to be a better comedian.
I want everybody to win. I really do. People say things like that, and I hope that those people mean it, because I really mean it. I mean, I really just, it makes me feel good to see other people do good. There's a quote that I wrote back in a song I wrote back in high school, and I live by it. And it's a song I wrote called Superheroes. And the chorus is like, we all want to be superheroes. You better never but that's not the quote. But it's about being superheroes. We all can be superheroes, right? We all have superpowers. And in the verse, I say, a match to a spark to inspire. I want to see you start a fire. And that's the idea, right? I'm lighting a match. I want to see you do something 10 times bigger than what I'm doing. I want you to burn this whole house down,
Well, one of my buddies actually said, I would like to reach the goal you're at, right? I actually told him, he goes, I think you have potential to go farther than I have. And that, if I'm at even his level, right, that's saying quite a lot, because he's done quite a bit for himself. And so it's like, I just speak louder words, and somebody can say it once or twice, but it's that how consistent are they at encouraging others, helping other people.
It's in the actions.
And I work with people who some are bilingual and some aren't, and I try to help them learn English, the best I can, and they help me learn Spanish. And it's like helping others is like, even if it's just a little bit, even if I teach them just a few words, it's something. So that little bit can go a long way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like it's something interesting too, where it's got to be, there's something karmic about it. Like, it's almost like karma, right? Where you put that positive energy out there, and it's going to return to you somehow. Maybe not even through this person. Like, maybe just having that mindset and being that way will naturally make the universe want to give back to you in this super strange way. Yeah. It just feels so true to me, like by doing the right things and by living with such virtue, you really do have something come back just naturally. Yeah. But you have to believe it. You have to believe it in your heart. And you have to commit to those actions.
I mean, you've seen how many posts that I've encouraged other comedians.
Yeah.
I mean, more than I can count. And it's like, and I'm trying to prove each day that I believe this with these people, because they are phenomenal. They are amazing. And, seeing them grow, even if I can't necessarily go physically see them perform, if other people can see them perform, they can see the talent that they have, and they can have a better day because those other comedians are growing,
Yeah, and it's like that positivity spreads through that. Yeah, rather than just sending it to that one person. Yeah. That one person can then send it outwards, and I think I saw this thing where it's like hate is learned, and it's the same exact thing, but the opposite way, right? Where it's like, if you're a parent and or say your boss is yelling at you, and then you take that home, and then now you're yelling at your kids, and then now your kids are bullying other kids. It's all the same cycle, just the opposite direction. Like, wouldn't you rather just send it the other way? Just send that positivity out there, and everybody's capable of it too. Yeah. I think it's actually harder to be positive than it is to be negative. I really, really think that. It's a lot harder to say nice things, because I think naturally we can be pessimistic, and naturally I think envy is a natural emotion. I think a lot of people see other people getting success, and there's why is it not me though? Why am I not achieving success? And that's just a complete wrong way to think about it.
And it's like, what is your definition of success?
Yeah,
It goes back to like, my friend and I were talking on the road, and she said, where you see yourself successful. And we came to the conclusion, I want to be known regionally, right? Like, Iowa, Minnesota, or Wisconsin, and so forth.
Which is a good thing to be aware of, too.
Yeah.
Because people set their sights wherever they set them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, what her original goal was, but I know she's performed in many, many different states, right? So, like, in fact, I think outside the country, if I remember correctly. So, but it's like, I wouldn't necessarily want to do that. And I'm not going to, like, I encourage people to reach what they want to reach, right? Yeah. It's just for me personally, because like family, I want to be able to be with them and so forth. So I wouldn't not only do so much traveling that I couldn't see them. And that when you get to that level where you're traveling a lot, it takes a toll on the family. If you're not single, it takes a toll on the family. So like, just like any other industry that they travel a lot.
Yeah, shout out to all those athletes out there.
Yeah. So it's like, that's me personally, and I, I'm fairly known in the Chicagoland area, mostly by my stage name more than my real name. But most people know who I am. And it's like, one of my buddies said, he was going to be on a show, and he said, do you know any female comedians that you would suggest? Well, I listed off a bunch that I personally like, and I said, well, depending on the style you're looking for is who I would recommend, because everybody's got a different style. And he goes, you know so many people. And I don't think so. He goes, every time I turn around, people know who you are. And that's what he said. And it's like, I didn't think much about it. I'm just connecting with people and trying to like learn from them and like grow with them. But yet, like, people know who I am. And I don't, until he said that, I didn't think much about it.
It's hard to put it in perspective, stuff like that, because, you can't even really think about it all the time. You really can't, because you'll drive yourself mad if you're constantly thinking about it. But like when I was, when Christmas came around this year, I don't know if I might have missed you, but I tried to hit everybody. I tried to hit everybody I could and send them a Merry Christmas. I don't know did I get you there or not?
I don't remember or not, because we had a lot of like Merry Christmases from different people.
Well, if not, Merry Christmas.
Thank you. So it's like, but like, just encouraging the people and like doing our best, because we're gonna forget people, but if we're like doing our best to try to encourage people, the person we forgot, somebody else probably remembered. And so so like we can just encourage other people and help them become better. It's like, there is such a joy in not just to be on stage and doing what I do, but talking to people before and after. And like, one thing I like, me personally, when I go to open mics, I like to talk to the people before and after, whether the comedians or people come to watch us, because without people coming to watch us, we'd be nowhere. And so I try to talk to them, get to know them, maybe a little bit about them, because it's like, they're people too. It's like, if we can get to know them a little bit, they'll remember that. They'll remember like, oh, this person, was glad I was there.
That connection is probably the realest part of all of it, really. Like, it's probably more important than even what you said on stage is the fact that you walked up to them and said hello. Like, truly, that's what really probably most people remember is, oh man, that guy who was just on stage gave me the time of day and came over and said hi to me. People, it really sticks out in their mind.
I want them to feel welcome. Wherever open mic I go to, I want them to feel welcome. I want them to, that they're part of the family, that they're with us,
Yeah.
Not just to watch us.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's truly how you create like a genuine connection, is by, first of all, thinking that way, but also executing on that, right? And you don't realize in the moment, because you can't overthink it. You can't constantly think about the implications of everything you do. But what I was getting at with the Merry Christmas thing is, I remember as I was sending all those texts, it made me think like, damn, I have a lot of people that I could send this to. Like, and it's not, in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, I only have like this small circle of people. But then it made me really think like, oh, I've generated this large group in this short amount of time, because I only started going to these open mics in October of last year. Okay, so that's 4 months, and I already have all the people from back where I'm from, but then all these people here now who know who I am. And that only can grow if you just keep doing that. If you just keep thinking that way and keep making sure to make those moments, going up to people, saying hello. that web just keeps expanding.
One of my fellow comedians, I'm not sure how long she's been in the industry, but her and I were talking, and she doesn't think that she's has any influence or anything. And I think she doesn't realize how important she is.
It's hard to tell
because, like, she's helped me out when I've had a down day or whatever, and she'll encourage the other comedians on her post. She'll have she'll be an open mic, and she'll have pictures of these people on her post performing on that night, and that's powerful. That is because because she just could post all her stuff, doesn't about anybody else, and she's posting other people. Hey, look, this person was on stage, and so forth, and that's more powerful than she thinks it is.
Absolutely, because it goes back to that whole thing where you're kind of sharing, but you're sharing your platform. You'd think it would be counterintuitive. You'd think that if I give all of this away, if I just put all these other people in my spot, that I'm kind of taking away from myself. But it kind of does the exact opposite. It actually brings eyes to you, because now people are, oh, hey, I know so-and-so, and they're getting posted on this page. I wonder who this person is that's sharing so-and-so. And then all of a sudden, you just start getting way, way more eyes, because we all can grow together, and everybody has a different circle. And you have a different circle than I do, and any comedian has a different circle.
And if you look on their like Instagram or whatever, and you look, they post, especially if they tag the person, because you're like, okay, I'm friend with this person, and I kind of maybe see that picture before, but if they tag them, I'm like, I can follow them and I can get connected with them.
Yep. Yeah. And it's really cool, man. It's really cool to generate. What I love about it is the butterfly effect of it, man. It's like there's been podcasts I've done where there was one day I did a podcast with a producer named BK the Great 08, and super cool dude, super nice dude. And I did 2 podcasts in one day, okay? And I had them stacked back to back. So when he left, the other guys showed up. And it was like other dudes walking out, this guy's walking in. And they said hi to each other, they connected. And like a month ago, I saw the second guy posted something. The second guy's named Jay Stats. He posted something, and BK the Great 08 liked it. And it made me think, like, holy shit. Like, that was because of me. That was because they met each other because of that one moment when he was walking out and he was walking in. But it's like, that's the stuff that's the most important. You don't even know what you're doing when you're doing it. Those guys met each other through the consequence of my actions, and that's a beautiful thing.
Like back when I was using this stage name, I was a guest on the roast battle finals last year, and
the finals! Congrats, man.
Well, that wasn't me. It was Lisa Fujiko, and I'm braid up dead on the guy who won right now. I know his face. I just can't remember his name. And I just saw a Facebook post on him yesterday, and he's absolutely phenomenal roaster. I mean, and the reason he won is because he's that phenomenal. And so she had me as a doctor, like, that was saying, had a banner and underwear saying he's gay, right? This was part of the piece, and
she made a banner.
Yeah, she made a banner. She had me hold it, right? He came out as, like, this diagnosis is terminal, he's gay. and she's phenomenal, right? She came with it. She asked me to be a part of her finals. I didn't have to, like, she didn't need to ask me, because I'm just, like, I'm, like, she's up, honestly, is up here. I'm like, here, right? I'm just being honestly, because it's where she is at in her career, and she asked me to be part of it, and I felt I'm more than flattered and honored to that she allowed me to it, and that was so much fun to be part of that, but that she allowed me to do it, and just being the Scoopy stage name, like, she goes, I can play with this, and it's like, we'll play off each other on doing different things, like, like maybe their physical features or whatever, but it's like we can use each other to grow and make others laugh in ways we can't even think of.
Yeah. How did you meet her? Do you remember?
So we were in the tournament together. She was on the lower end on seeds, right? She was like 14 or something. I forget. She was lower, right? and so there was 2 16 brackets, so 2 sets of 16, and she made it to the final, so she beat the number one on that side. She ended up beating the number one on that side to get to the finals, and she reached out to me like maybe 3 weeks or whatever it was before the I think it was like 2 weeks before the tournament, right, or before the finals. She said, "Hey, would you like to be part of this?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "Oh, this is what you say, this is what you do, so forth." And I was very flattered and honored that she would ask me to be part of that, and it was a phenomenal night because but my stage name is known. That's how most people. I mean, except for the comedians that I interact with directly, everybody just knows me as Dr. Laughter. In fact, so much so that when I go to Batavia at the Comedy Vault, the Vidya Cerrone, he says, this is Mike Smith, formerly known as this is a comedian formerly known as the Doctor of Laughter. And so he could just say that, and it's what I am known as, but most people know that by my stage name, and it kind of stuck, which is funny, and it's good and bad, but it's like, they play off of it, and to me, it's funny as can be. It's evil genius, I like to say.
Maybe you could even do both. Maybe you could be Mike Smith, the Doctor of Laughter, you know?
That'll be something that I'll probably use on occasion, but I think finding my voice would probably be somehow using my high energy. Yeah. I did one piece one night where I act like I was snorting cocaine. I said, like, "Sorry, I just got done snorting cocaine with Hunter Biden."
Role model.
That's right. Well, you know what? He is a role model. I'd rather have you her sucking than snorting.
I wish I could do a Joe Biden.
I really wish I could do aE Biden, man. I really wish I could. Have you seen? I told you about Adam Ray the last time we did this. Have you seen Adam Ray since?
Once, like on online.
Was it when he had killed Tony as the Joe Biden thing? Oh, yeah. So you know.
Oh, yeah. That was hysterical. No, I don't. Because you had somebody doing the Trump one, or you know.
Oh, Shane Gillis.
Yeah, it was so.
Shane Gillis is great at Trump.
Those two played those like no other.
Yep.
They played off each other. I don't know how much they practiced, but they played that so phenomenally.
So what's interesting about it is Shane Gillis had done Trump before. He did a couple. Are you familiar with Shane Gillis at all?
Oh, a little bit.
Okay, he's fantastic. He's really good. I'd recommend checking him out. But he got real popular on his podcast. It was his podcast, Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast, where him and a different comedian, they would just fucking around, just talking. And then he had this big SNL thing where he was going to be on SNL, and then they found something from Matt McCusker. That's the other guy on the podcast. And so it was something that he had said on that podcast, just messing around, some like Chinese joke. And they found it offensive. They took him off SNL, and it ended up being what skyrocketed Shane Gillis's career. But it was that, and then it was also he did this this show called Gilly and Keeves, I think it was called, and it was a skit comedy show, and he would do Trump on there, and that was where his Trump impression came out, and it's just so good, and that was kind of where it got popularized. He ended up, when he finally got the SNL gig, like SNL. After he got real big, like years later, they finally call him back. They say, "Hey, can you host SNL?" And he did the Trump thing on SNL. I'd recommend checking that out too. It was Trump speed dating. That's what it was. That was the one on Gilly and Keys.
It's really big, really huge dating, lots of great chicks. You know, they're probably Victoria's Secret models, even some, you know, Miss America runner-ups will do it really well.
But with the other impression, with the Joe Biden, what's interesting about that is the story, I believe, is that Tony Hinchcliffe, the guy who hosts Kill Tony, he had called Adam Ray, who had been on Kill Tony before with his Dr. Phil impression, which I'd also really recommend you check out.
Dr. Phil, any good Dr. Phil impression is hysterical.
Oh, dude, it's his. So that's the reason I recommended Adam Ray to you in the first place, because he's now touring as Dr. Phil. It's gotten so big.
Get real.
Get real. Listen, let me tell you. I got to tell you about this. There's some people who really think that there is aliens in the sky. And really, what I got to tell you is it's not about the aliens. It's about you and what you do. So pick yourself up and meet the aliens where they're at. And then maybe one day you can be up there with them. But I'm doing like a subpar version of what he can do. And he goes out on stage and he'll just do Dr. Phil for hours, right? He's so good at it. And so Tony Hinchcliffe calls him up and he says like, hey, we're going to have Shane on as Trump. Can you come out and do Dr. Phil? Or can you come out and do Joe Biden? And he had never done Joe Biden before. So that was so crazy about it. That was his first time ever doing Joe Biden. And he nailed it. And that was right after the debate, too. What was so funny about the timing of it.
If you could do a senile, the hardest part of impersonating Biden is the old man voice, you know. Everything else is so easy to do, like tripping on stage or getting lost. All that stuff is easy. It's the only hard part is like the kind of old man voice.
Yeah, I think when he was talking about what was hard about doing the impression, it was because you still want to entertain people. Yep. And so, like, you can't just say nonsensical things. Yep. You kind of also have to. You also have to entertain along the way. That's kind of the hard part. Because if you're doing a Joe Biden just to the T, you're going to end up just saying nonsense. So you kind of have to make it work in a comedic way.
So I don't know which was funnier, watching Kamala or Biden. They both, in their own way, just you're watching them and like. Is this acting here, or are they really like this?
That's a good question. That's a great question. Because, like, the thing about Kamala is I just think she was never destined to be where she ended up. And so it's like if you had the bench warmer come up and be the star player. Like, you're not supposed to be here right now.
Well, she was thrown into it.
Exactly.
Because so Biden steps down from it, and they were going to originally host a primary or some kind of primary or at the convention or something.
Like they're supposed to.
Yeah, and Biden's like 30 minutes later, I support Harris. And so from there it was like, oh, we have to have her. And there's a Kamala Harris impersonator, I forget the name off the top of my head.
I've seen her online.
She, to the T, you're listening to her, I'm like, oh, this is just so spot on.
Yeah, I know. I wish I had her name, because she's so good at it. But I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, because the thing about Kamala is you have to talk a little bit slow and slurred, kind of like you're drunk a little bit.
Since I got elected, we've been unburdened by what has been.
Yeah, unburdened by what has been. Kamala Harris is a great example of like how it can go wrong if you're just too deep into like a certain group, because the problem is like she was never the star player, but they tried to prop her up as that, and I think that's how it all fell apart, right? And it's so interesting to me because it was weird seeing it happen in real time, because you would see people justify it. They'd be like, oh yeah, but she's all we've got. And it's like, yeah, but isn't that the problem?
Well, what you might not know, if you don't know about Kamala, she's been good on her knees. Oh yeah, look when she was her boss. Oh yeah, she was on her knees for her boss. Oh yeah, wish she was in the oral office with me. That's right.
The oral office.
That's right. It's an oral orifice. That's right. That's what it is.
Oh man, it's just wild. It's just wild, and I feel like politics now has become the kind of thing where it is like it's actually a parody of itself. Like, I wish I could do RFK. Let me see. What is RFK? It's like you got to get way down in here like this, and then what is RFK? Can you do RFK Jr. at all? Oh, it's somewhere in here. You got to get way down here and then talk like that. And basically, I had a whale in the back of my car, and
yeah, absolutely. It's like back in the day that it seemed like there were at least the politicians at least. Listened to them, and it sounded like they were coherent. Or
I have a friend who he'll always mention the Mitt Romney and Obama debate back in 2012 because he felt like that was like one of the last real moments where we were all at least still pretending this was something that we could look up to. Because Mitt Romney and Obama, they would, Mitt Romney, I didn't love him, but he would go out there and he would say, like, listen, I think there's a clip of a woman talking to Mitt Romney, and she's saying to him, like, yeah, but Obama, he's not even from this country. He was saying the birther stuff. And then Mitt Romney was like, listen, I don't like it. He's my opponent, but we're not going to do that. We're not going to go there. And like the fact that he would do that is interesting looking back, because now they will go there. Now they'll say the worst possible things.
Mitt Romney was one of those that you could make fun of, but generally speaking, it was really hard to make fun of him.
Yeah.
He always came across as professional or whatever. Regardless of how you viewed his policies, he came across as professional in how he spoke, because you went from Clinton, that's right. You had his old deal for 8 years, and then you get Bush, which was another character act.
Yeah.
And then it was just from Clinton, definitely from, actually, maybe his first Bush, but especially from Clinton on, has been nothing but, like, material for comedians. I mean, it's always been to an extent, but it's even more so now. It just seems like.
Yep. It makes you wonder what's next, right? Like, what are we getting next?
We're going to get Canada's the 51st state. It's going to be the best state I've ever seen. State like no other. Yeah. We're getting all our great oil from there.
Someone told me just the other day that Trump wants to change the name of Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. Like, he's serious about this. And I just...
Well, I'll tell you what, the Gulf of America makes a lot of sense. Because, look, it's mostly in America, not in Mexico. It'll be American. It'll be the best Gulf ever made. Yeah. Make the Gulf great again.
Make the Gulf great again.
And I just saw that shit.
That's good, man. Oh, but it's... Yeah, it really is. It's interesting because it makes me wonder, too, about, like, I feel like people reject it and people get upset about it, but I feel like it's a perfect reflection of the times. There's a reason that we're here. Because, like, it's almost like after 2012 and onward, I think people started to reject that whole politician talk thing. It used to be cool. It used to be good to be a respectable politician and to go out there and say respectable things. But now it seems like the new thing is to just say whatever. Just say whatever, and that's what's going to get you the people. Not going out there and being professional, but going out there and being, for lack of a better word, real.
Well, there in the California fire, there was some government official, I forget what her political title is, but she referring to this, like, for people to get help, to a URL. Didn't even mention the URL, like, www whatever. Just says the URL. What in the... You're not going to mention it? We're just going to read your mind? Yeah. I mean, like, you can't make this up. There's a female fire chief. She says she was in Sober California. She was saying that criticizing people who are you want people that are rescue you that look like you. No, you don't want somebody to look like me trying to rescue you. No freaking way. You want this old slob trying to rescue you? No, I want a 25-year-old guy, 6'2", benches 300 pounds, lifting me. I mean, and this woman, she was trying to, like, say that she was being...
It's a DEI thing, right?
Yeah, but I was like, no, I don't want somebody to look like me, rescue me, because I won't be getting rescued.
Yeah, right.
I'll burn right there, I guarantee it. No, I want somebody that looks like a Brian Urlacher or somebody that's huge, that's going to be able to lift me and throw me over his shoulders like a sack of potatoes and walk me out like it's nothing. I'm like, really? Well, I don't know what you were thinking. It's this insane political talk that makes no sense.
It's a dangerous game, yeah. Because what ends up happening, it's so frustrating to me because, like, you even see it in art, you even see it in, like, gaming, you see it all over the place, where what they're trying to do is they're trying to appeal to whatever they're perceiving as what is socially acceptable, right? Like, their understanding of what is socially acceptable is that, oh, well, we need to be inclusive. But it's like, okay, where did that idea start? Like, when did that start happening? Because I thought it was about qualifications. I thought the whole idea of any job was qualifications.
Well, and this is what these people don't realize when they're trying to like pander to certain groups is they are giving us comedians more material, whether it's like people being on stage or people like creators of South Park and Simpsons that are like phenomenal and the stuff
we've become an episode of South Park.
Yes, Simpsons is more like it seems like they predict it in some ways, and Simpsons and South Park's more like something happens and they make fun of it. Mm-hmm. Either way, it's still we're making fun of stuff because all comedy has to have some truth to it. So the creators of Simpsons, who are like more kind of future stuff, there's something that's been said that like, oh wait a minute, somebody's saying something here. Oh, I mean, I could kind of see it going this way, you know. And the reason, like, you remember the whole Simpsons episode about Trump becoming president?
Yeah,
that's because in the 80s or 90s, forget what it was, Trump was being interviewed by Oprah, and she asked, would you ever run president? He said he didn't think he would, but if he personally felt that the country was getting so bad that it needed him to run, he would. So there was already that little piece of them like already having heard that and like, oh, and I don't know when, like the timeline between when he said it and the episode was made, but I still think there was that, oh, he had already said it. They're like, oh, we could play off of this, you know, and him being who he is. So it's like there's always some truth to it. So people are always saying, oh, like I said, oh, so we're going to extend it. There's a guy I used to listen on radio. He died years ago, but he would always use what was called environmental wacko picks. So during football season, he would have the Miami Dolphins play the Steelers. Well, the Steelers are human, they're evil, so Dolphins are going to win. It wasn't better about who was the better team. He was making fun of it, saying, you guys so much, and it's not whether he believed in environmentalism or not. It was the fact that you guys took to one street. He goes, oh, okay, so the Dolphins are going to win because they're just animals. They're going to beat the humans, which was just it was absolutely hysterical.
Just playing on that.
Yeah, it was absolutely. I just absolutely loved it. It just got me rolling.
Yeah, yeah.
So he would call it environmental wacko picks.
But yeah, so you take a little grain of truth and you exaggerate the absurdity within it.
That's what all comedians do, and it's like I've done stuff on stage, like, you know, like you guys are familiar. A lot of people are familiar with Ronda Rousey. Well, she was engaged to a fighter. I don't know if they ever got married, but they're both fighters, and so I made a joke about their wedding day being announced like a fight. Mm-hmm. You know, like, oh, kind of play off of this, you know, make fun of it. Like, you know, stereotype is guys don't care, so you make fun of that. Or like, you know, like, all they think about sex, we might as well make fun of it, you know. So there's that little truth. And let's, like, how far can we stretch it to, you know, like, oh, crap, yeah. Like I said, I've been married. I have this joke about being married twice, never divorced. And, but to be fair, she does have a split personality.
Yeah, yeah. And the truth is that you have been married twice, never divorced.
Yeah,
yeah.
So it plays very well, and it's like it's that opening myself up, kind of like, and so it's like you can see when I say that you can metaphorically see people's brains thinking like, well, are you a polygamist or what's going on here? You know, you know. You got a wife over in California that the other one doesn't know about or whatever, and it's fun to play with.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's also about the expectations of the audience, too, at that point, right? Building up an expectation and then swerving it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is another big part of comedy, is not only taking the truth and exaggerating, but also playing on expectations. Yeah. Because you have to learn how to weave, how to take them one way and then take them the other way.
Yeah, that's what's called what they call misdirection.
Yeah, misdirect.
So you make them think one thing and you do the exact opposite. And I saw a guy fail miserably on stage that I seriously thought he was going to do a misdirection. I really thought he was going to go make the audience think completely this one way for like 30 seconds, whatever, and he just sideswipes them somewhere else. But no, he decided to do the exact what we thought he was going to do.
Which was not the right move.
Right. It wasn't the right move, but I thought as a comedian, because doing comedy, you kind of think a little bit differently, because you think, okay, where are they going to play with this, right? Mm-hmm. But no, he decided to play the way that he ended up playing with it, and we're like, "Oh, your career shot."
You can't say exactly what the bit was.
He used the N-word 3 times in less than 3 minutes, and it's like, yeah, your career shot.
And you're thinking like, oh, he's going somewhere with this.
Well, because I thought he was gonna, because he uses a line in there that makes us think he's going to use the N-word, right? Because the wording in the joke makes us think this, and I thought he was going to use another N-word to like that sounds similar to it, right? And makes you think, oh crap, this is funny because he said the opposite of what I thought he was going to say, right? The misdirection. But no, he decides that I'm like, your career's done. You're there, but you're not. I'm just like, no. It just you could. It's that train accident you see happen, but you have to look away.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Yeah, the N-word in particular is like an impossible one to conquer. I think there's only been a couple comedians who've done it, and even then, it's like it's so difficult to do. There's a Louis C.K. bit I see cited a lot. That's like one of the few examples, but even then, I don't know if he could do it now.
The thing is, there's so much material that's out there that you can use about everything under the sun. You know, stupid coworkers or relationship you had or whatever. There's a zillion things out there, and you want to try to shock people with that one.
Exactly, yeah. In my opinion, it often comes off as a low-hanging fruit type thing. Like, instead of the joke being whatever the inspiration is behind it, the great idea, the premise, it's really just about the fact that, oh, he said the thing. Oh, he's not supposed to do that. And, that can easily... The problem is you get burnt so fast now. I mean, it used to be a learning experience with people like that. It used to be the case like in the 90s where you would say something like that and it wouldn't destroy your career. Yeah. You'd learn through experience. You'd be like, oh, well, I better stop doing that. Nowadays, people have phones.
Well, I think it was Tim Allen. It was Tim Allen or Joe Fox where he said that it's hard to be doing stand-up nowadays because everybody's so sensitive about every little thing. And I mean, there's difference between sensitive and stuff that's just ridiculous. But it is true. A lot of people are sensitive nowadays. In fact, I was doing writing a joke, and my buddy says, it's not a comedian. He says, I don't know if I would do that. Somebody would get offended. I'm like, I'm not going to live my life completely worry about somebody else offended. I mean, I'm not going to use the N-word, but I'm not going to like just live, because I made a joke about addiction. Well, addiction is real, and like other comedians will talk about, they'll talk about addiction to cocaine or whatever. And I did a piece about it, and it needs more work, but it was like, they're like, yeah, I can relate with that because I said everybody's got addiction to something. It might be a soda, it might be your daily jogging, but something. And I made an analogy about, I was talking about that, and I had fun with it. It was like, because everybody can relate to it.
Yeah.
Everybody has an addiction to something. Real, legal or illegal, everybody has something. And before I started that, I said, that everybody has a skeleton in their closet. Well, I don't have a skeleton in my closet. I have a whole cemetery of skeletons.
I've got gravestones. I got tombstones in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I what gets me, there's a lot of for one, the whole principle of comedy is making fun of things, okay? So like when people start saying things like, oh, you can't punch down, that just drives me insane. Like, oh, so you can't joke about this and you can't joke about this and you can't joke. Like, who is putting these lines in the sand?
And
why?
And what's one of the things great is especially when you have self-deprecating humor, right?
Yeah.
Because like one of my buddies, I was at open mic the other day, and they roasted him because they're like, oh, he's got a hard time doing this and this and this, and it was funny because how it was said, and it was like, with his physical features, but we weren't like, oh, this is rude. It was the way he said it was funny, and this guy makes fun of himself a lot about stuff, and it's like, I saw a comedian once, I forget his name, and he's got like cerebral palsy or something. I forget what it was, but he was joking. He makes this joke about going out with people bowling, and how people bowl spend I mean, years upon years to perfect the art of the craft of bowling and getting the right throw and so forth. And he's like, that's no problem, because when you bowl, you have this hook, right? You have this natural hook. You can come up with a handshake. That's how you're supposed to do it. And he goes, what's the big deal? My hand's always like this. He was making fun of himself about it, and it's like, and I'm like, yeah, I thought that was hysterical. I'm like, you're making fun of yourself, but like, as we do, it's like, I thought of a joke the other day about myself. I'm like, people say I should get in shape, and don't you want a six pack? Well, why want a six pack when I got a whole keg here?
Yeah, I think self-deprecating humor is it kind of opens the door for people in a way too. Like it makes people more comfortable. I think. I think it's like it goes back to what your whole idea, your whole philosophy behind comedy. Like comedy's meant to heal and to allow us to find humor and
it can absolutely cure a broken heart.
Exactly. Yeah, and so like. It's just it bothers me when people try to put up roadblocks to that, because it's like, who are you to say what can be funny and what can't be funny? There's all kinds of things that could be funny to anybody. If you don't find something funny, humor's subjective.
Well,
unless it's like ridiculously.
Emily, the owner of Babs, every week at her open mic, she talks about she gives her spiel, like in case there's new members first time ever watching or performing. She goes, you can say what you want. Your best reaction as an audience member is to not laugh. Because you're not going to go up to them and say, oh, I cannot believe you just said that about being 4 foot tall. I'm 4 foot tall and I can't deal with this anymore. It's like, like we just, you got the short end of it, I guess.
Yeah, the short end of the stick.
I mean, I'm 5'5", I'm not very tall, and it's like, I make fun of myself. I got red hair. I have one family member, to my knowledge, that has red hair. Everybody else doesn't. And so I got picked on as a kid about, being, the redhead stepchild. Well, it was no, I wasn't the redhead stepchild. I was the redheaded step-nephew.
Okay.
Because my uncle had red hair, so I played on that. It's like, no, I was redheaded stepchild. I was redheaded stepnephew.
But you're teasing it.
Yeah, I'm making fun of like myself being, have red hair, because got made fun of having red hair as a kid, and especially when nobody in the family did, especially because nobody really, except for family, nobody at school knew my uncle, so. They're like, oh, it was the redhead stepchild. You're the redhead stepchild. You're the milkman baby, whatever. Like, so I'm like, I just make fun of it.
I just feel like too, like that can only go so far with like saying like, oh, you can't make fun of redheaded people. You can't make fun of short people. It's like
that's why I like what Emily does every week. Her open mic, she always says you can say what you want.
Yeah,
you got the right for free speech, and I love that. No, because I've never been to an open mic that. They said it weekly.
Oh, really?
No, at least, I mean, as far as like it being said, it's like
setting the stage that way.
Yeah. And which is like I said, it's one of many reasons I absolutely love her open mic. I mean, that's like a small amount because there's a lot of other stuff, but
it creates a good atmosphere for sure.
Oh,
I bet.
Oh, it's like I said, it's the best open mic I ever go to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a long drive for me, but it's not. I mean. Technically, it's a drive, but it doesn't feel like a drive when I go there because I am so excited every time I get to go there and do open mics. Because
you go every week?
I try to go every week if my work permits me to, because I had a period where I couldn't go for like 4 or 5 weeks over because of work or other obligations. But generally speaking, I love going there because it's an awesome time. I've never once not enjoyed the experience there. It's just phenomenal. It's not just her, it's the comedians are there, it's everything else, but she plays, because it's her place, she plays a large part of it, and she's accomplished so much. I'm so proud of what she's done in the short time that she's done it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting to me how these different rooms all have their own different community and their own different feeling, like even open mics, right? Like every different open mic you go to, it's something different. And that's a good reason for comedians to test out new ones and find new places.
You should absolutely go to as many open mics as you can, because and that's where I struggle with trying to go as many as I can. One, probably because work schedule, and two is the further distance. One of my buddies, he goes to 3 open mics in a night.
Yeah, I've heard of a few people who do that. Yeah.
And that helps, like, and it allows you to get not only stage presence, but it allows you to get experience with different stages and become more comfortable overall.
Because you become flexible with all those different environments and different rooms and different vibes.
I was in Sterling at a contest, and my stage spot was very small. I didn't have like much room to move because it was a small venue to begin with, and I didn't have much room to move around. So like some material that I like off the cuff would probably use, I really couldn't do much with because I couldn't move around because I needed that space to move around to play the joke better. So I had to like improvise on that, but you know, like learning those different venues, like how big the stage is, how small it is.
Yep. Over at Red Room, right next to here, it's a small room, and the stage real tight. You're not going to be walking around a whole lot on a stage like that. Whereas somewhere else, you might have a whole floor. You know, I can run back and forth.
Yep.
I might have a whole corner of this room in this bar that they're letting me use, and you could do all kinds of different things. I think that flexibility goes miles. It goes such a long way.
Yeah, well, you can move around, and because I'm high energy, I move around a lot.
Well, when I say flexibility, though, I mean even like being able to do both of those environments, being able to take that same energy and make it work on a small stage and then work on a big stage.
And that's one of my struggles because I'm high energy trying to like how to do it.
You end up just doing jumping jacks.
Yeah, basically. Lots of jumping jacks, greatest jumping jacks I've ever seen. Yes. A lot of great jumping jacks, not to be confused with the cereal Apple Jacks.
Not Apple Jacks, jumping jacks. We go real high. So high, I might even see the sun. I go so high up when I do jumping jacks, I'm in the clouds. My head is in the clouds, as they say. They actually wrote that phrase about me doing jumping jacks.
Higher than Hunter Biden on cocaine.
Yeah, higher than Hunter Biden. I do jumping jacks higher than Hunter Biden on cocaine. Oh, man. But you know what? Like, that's what I'm talking about. There is somebody who would hear a joke like that and they would get mad. They would get mad that you're joking about Hunter Biden. Like, that's what's so crazy about the way that people are nowadays with comedy. It kind of blows my mind.
Well, back in 21, I think when it was after Biden took office, I did a video impersonating Trump, and this is back when gas prices were really high, blaming Biden for the gas prices. Well, first of all, Trump actually did that.
Yeah.
Second of all, I was impersonating Trump doing it, and somebody got on my page and said, the president doesn't control gas prices. And I said, this is comedy, right?
Yeah.
You're missing the whole point. It's like, one, Trump actually did say it, and two, I'm impersonating it. And even if Trump hasn't said it, it's something he would say. So I'm like, you're missing the whole point.
Yeah,
so
we're not taking a political stance here.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's like when you're, especially if you're impersonating somebody, and knowing something that they would say, you need to just like realize this is probably humor, you know? There's a guy, I forget his name off the top of my head. He is so phenomenal, Trump. I mean, just beyond phenomenal. That if you were in the other room quoting Trump verbatim, not some comedian stuff, but you quote him verbatim, that you would think Trump was in the other room because this guy is that good.
Yeah,
and it was like, it's funny. It's like listening to people that are that good is like. Watching them just do insane stuff. I see Noah Ryan does a lot of like baby Trump, like he's like 6 years old or whatever, and it's like younger Trump, and it's so hysterical doing like stuff at preschool and all sorts of stuff, and I'm just like rolling because I can see younger Trump doing like. Preschool? I don't know why they call it pre-K. Is it like J? Is it like the J before the K? I don't know.
I love all the crayons. I love the white crayons, the black ones, even the red ones. Sometimes I even use the yellow crayon. Sometimes. You know who doesn't love all the crayons? Mrs. Johnson, our teacher. We should riot at the end of the day. What day is it today? Oh, January 6th. Let's riot. Let's do it. Let's get the teacher.
Oh, I absolutely love it. It's certifications of the crayons day.
Certification of crayons day. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think too, like, I look at it like this, where it's like, if we live in such an absurd world, wouldn't it be better just to laugh at it? Isn't it more fun just to laugh at the comedic nature of all of this?
Well,
Life is a joke.
And sometimes, like, I don't really watch The View, but they are a source of material, and they will say things, and I don't know if they generally believe this or if this is just like part of the script that's written that they have to say.
Probably a touch of both.
But it is so like over the top that they said they compared January 6th to slavery. Literally, January 6th to slavery.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where's the comparison?
Yeah.
I'm not saying January 6th was right or wrong, but the comparison, I'm like, at this point, you have lost all marbles. Did you lose the 5 that you lost that were different colors, logic, different colors?
Yeah. There was something that Whoopi Goldberg got in trouble for saying. I think it was in relation to the Holocaust, but I can't remember. She got in trouble for it not that long ago, because they'll just say anything nowadays. They'll go out there and they'll say anything. The View has become a wild show.
It's like these shows. I'm like, do you guys realize you're the laughing stock of America?
The answer is no. I
really don't think they do. It's like, I'm like, I watch this stuff when I do for comedic purposes because I know I can get material out of it.
Yeah. 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 There was another thing that Whoopi Goldberg did where she there was a bakery who denied her a cake, and then she went on The View and she trashed the bakery. Yep. You heard about this?
Yeah, and she ended up making them more money.
Exactly.
And it's like, so like there's like material everywhere from all this stuff. Like, so back, if you remember the WNBA season, you know, like a lot of people don't know who the WNBA is, really know much about them. They couldn't mention any teams on them prior to Caitlin Clark. Mm-hmm. And it was like, there was this controversy, she's, it's because she's white. No, she's good. It has nothing to do with skin color. And like, she's generational. She's just that good. And they were saying skin color and so forth. And they were like, so like, I did a joke about this, about the I said, my stand-up is like the WNBA. Nobody knows who I am. No standing ovation, and occasionally my family comes watch me.
You can't say that.
I did say it on stage.
I know, but I'm making the joke.
No,
you're not allowed to say that.
That's just it. It's like, if you can't say it. It's like, well, that's why, because I wouldn't have thought of that joke prior to the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese things. I wouldn't have thought anything about it until like they're playing it, and everybody's talking about. Nobody really knew who they were, even though they were around for 20 years. Nobody really, 30 years, whatever it is. Before that, that she brought them up on the map really big, and so like when people mention this, I'm like, oh my god, there's material here.
It's funny. With the WNBA thing, I remember it was right around all that the big Caitlin Clark boom, and I remember I saw a post on Facebook, and it was like, this sports bar is only going to show women's sports, and I just remember thinking, good luck. Good luck with that. Because, I mean, that might work for some people. But, like, dude, it's just one of those things where you can only... I don't know. I feel like people... It's interesting because we're in a place where, like, in a major city, I think people get a different idea. Like, you're outside the city, so you probably get a different taste of that. But in the city... people skew differently, and I think the people in the city don't realize how much of a bubble that is.
Oh, I absolutely like. I work working like 60 miles west of here. I can guarantee, like, I don't know if I could work in the city in public service because some of the people I might interact with who will like go nuts. Like if because you've seen these videos of somebody that. They're transitioning, so they're a guy and they say they're a woman.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, but you'll see them go nuts. Oh, you called me a guy instead of woman.
Yeah, like misgendering.
Yeah, and they're like going nuts. I'm like, well, I look at you and you look like a guy. I'm not saying you don't want to try to transition, but that's what I see, and I'm gonna just like I would be the type to call you out. Where in a city, I'd have to be like, I'm sorry. I'm like we're not doing it on purpose.
Yep.
Because that's what we see. Is like we're not taking away from what you're trying to transition or whatever. Because that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. But I'd probably get in like trouble because like I'm just gonna see what I see.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Yeah, especially if you're trying to like get into the public eye, it just becomes a minefield because like it's now become this thing where it's so divisive. I think a lot of the division is truly, I don't think it's manufactured. I don't even think it's real. I think it's partially like social media and whatever gets popular on social media or whatever voices are amplified are usually the ones that are highlighting division or are showing that we can't get along, and then that becomes the story.
Well, I think it's a certain people that want to cause the division.
Exactly, yeah. And then that gets louder and louder, and it's the minority that becomes seemingly the majority.
Because most people, we don't really care what you do in your personal life or whatever. We could care less. Mm-hmm. It's like, but certain people want they want to start trouble, started it, and that's why like, well, this could be. I'm just gonna make fun of it.
Yep. And it gets real rocky at certain points because like you would think, okay, we can just stop there, we can just all get along. But then it's a big reason that Jordan Peterson really blew up in Canada is because there was a bill, I think it's called Bill C-16. I can't remember what it was, but he was a professor in college, right? And they wanted to make it illegal for a teacher to misgender a student. So as a teacher, I can't call you the wrong thing or else I can lose my job. And he was arguing that that's against the principles of freedom of speech. Say what you will about it, but like what he was saying is that there's never ever been a law that's ever said you have to say this or else you will lose your job. It's compelled speech. And it is compelled speech. You can't say it's not. I mean, it is what it is. And that's where it gets scary because it's like, how far can we go with all this? And the truth is, we can go pretty far if we want to go that far.
And what's the one reason I enjoy comedy is I just make fun of everything that's around me.
Yeah, and I think comedy is kind of like the ultimate way out, right? They say comedians are the canaries in the coal mine, right? And once you lose the comedians, that's when it gets real bad. And I think that's the truth. Like as soon as you can't joke about certain topics, like as soon as you see people start to get upset about it, and as soon as you see those lines drawn in the sand, that's when you know the alarm bells are going off. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you from my couple years of doing stand-up that you could do a joke, right? And in like certain, like for example, if you go to, let's say, Rockford, it'll play in Rockford, but it will be absolute crickets in Chicago.
Yep. And you know what I often say too is like the opposite. I'll see people do stuff at these open mics, and I'll see them get a big roar out of the room with whatever like political stance they're trying to take, and I'm thinking, dude, you cannot take that out of the city. It won't work. Like if you took that and then went across the country, they're gonna pitchfork you. They'll charge you out of the room. You'll have a mob after you. You can't say that. But it's just like people feel so strongly and they don't even realize how insulated it can become.
Oh yeah.
You know, like, and there's sort of a magic to the universality of comedy, kind of finding that middle ground where you're just poking at the humor of the idea and you're not taking a stance. That's kind of the magic spot to be in. I find it to be tough because I don't like the idea of someone telling me what I can and can't do. That's my problem.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me what I can't say. That's going to make me want to say it more. I'm like thing one and thing two and Cat in the Hat, you know? You tell me to do one thing, I'll do the other thing.
Absolutely.
Okay? So don't try me.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's what gets me about all this. It's like, you know, whatever happened to... I look at it too like, it's better to be exclusive than to be inclusive. Meaning, you want to be unique. You want to be the one who has the unique opinions. Those are the people that change things. Those are the people that stick out, not the people who just want to include everybody and everything is all hunky. It's not all perfect and peaches and roses. That's not the way it's ever been.
Oh, yeah. I like peaches. I really do.
I love peaches. I have the best peaches, actually.
Oh, Monica had a good peach. I'll tell you that.
I'll tell you, Monica's peaches were great. Not as good as Michelle's, but they were all right. They were okay.
Oh, I'll tell you, like Michelle Obama's. Oh, I know. I didn't judge. That's right.
Don't talk about Michelle that way. Please. That's inappropriate. I love that woman. Her real name is Michael.
Michelle is a Mike. She has a cock. You can clearly tell.
We don't often talk about it, but Big Mike is real. But yeah, man, this was a fun one. Right before we got back after our little break here, you told me you don't have too much time left. So is there anything you wanted to touch on before we get out of here? Anything like that, or?
Well, you can find me on my videos on YouTube under Doctor of Laughter 1975. Spell out Doctor. And my Instagram page is the same name.
And then a final message for the folks at home. Anything you want to send them home with? The moral of the story. What is it?
I would say to just enjoy life and make people laugh regardless of the setting. Because just because I'm on stage doesn't mean you can't make people laugh. That's what's important, making the world a better place. Yeah. And the beauty of comedy and the beauty of laughter is that it can open minds and it can open hearts, and it can take us to places that we wouldn't go without it, right? Like, you can take a negative emotion and turn it into a positive emotion. And I think that it's something we could use now more than ever. We could absolutely heal broken hearts.
Exactly. And what we've been talking about here with, like, the way that people can be more closed-minded, I think that humor is, again, it's the way out. It's the way that we can kind of highlight just the absurdity of all of this. I mean, there's something beautiful about just being able to go on a stage and just let people let go for a little bit, because we all do need to let go. Yeah. I mean, life is short. There's not there's not a pedestal that you're going to stand on that's going to make this life any less miserable. We all just got to laugh about it, and we all just got to accept the absurdity of existence and the absurdity of being, and something about that is beautiful. There's something beautiful about the opportunity that we're all provided every single day to bring joy to one another.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm happy I could bring joy to you today. I'm happy we could bring joy to you people
Thank
today.
you for allowing me to come on again, because I have so much fun doing this.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thanks for coming on. And you'll be on again, all right? You can be a regular on this show.
I really like it, really do.
We make this show big. The show was all right, but when you come on, it's huge.
Huge, that's right.
Huge. So big, they can see it in China.
Evil China.
Evil China. All right. And with all that being said, folks, Rules Radio. Hey. Been too long, I don't think I could face it. In the corner with my mask on. What's the story? It did do no good to waste it. 30 seconds till it's blast off.